The Tempest is being nerfed all the way to the ground. It's going to be totally worthless. Just kidding. Well, kind of. It is getting nerfed, but not to the ground. But let's talk about it, because is this nerf even going to be enough? There's a lot of people, including myself, talking about how just kind of broken the Tempest is. And well, in Battlegrounds, it just got its first nerf. And let's talk about, again, is this enough, or will we even see a difference? Let's go look. So here we are in the Battleground Clash Chains balance adjustments. Now, I covered the full patch notes yesterday in sort of as fast as possible video, almost TLDR. I didn't read the whole thing word for word, but I gave you a good summary. But in today, I want to talk about the nerf to the Tempest. So you can see the first thing that is being changed is the wizard items. Now, this is by the time you see this video, I haven't even posted my most toxic build video, and it's already changing, but it's fine. This is still going to make the build pretty toxic. So the first one is Meteor. Frozen Wellspring is initial action time reduced from 0.47 to 0.3 seconds. Damage increased by 25%. So initial action time reduced. So how long it does it, I'm assuming? I don't know if I'm reading that right. But this is the other one. So the Wizard Teleport, the shield provided by Teleport also grants immunity to a single instance of total loss of control. This is very much a buff, by the way, in case you're curious. And then, this is also a buff. So this is reducing the action time, the initial action time. So before it hits, I assume. And then it's also increased the damage by 25%, which is pretty good. Now, the other change is more of a negative one. And this is for the Tempest. Although I thought, where is it? Okay, yeah, the Wizard is also changing down here. I was like, I know the shoulders definitely got nerfed. All right, so here it is. So for the Tempest, the following class balance changes will affect these classes in Battlegrounds. So it is clarifying that this is in Battlegrounds, whereas this one was all across Diablo Immortal, which is a buff to the Wizard, which is fine. We like that. W Wizard. Tempest items. So Zephyr Guard Flowing Strike cooldown increase from 6 to 7.5 seconds. So that is a second and a half longer of a cooldown for Flowing Strike. Now, what does this mean? It's going to impact some builds. It's going to impact the playstyle. Flowing Strike is a huge part of most builds because this is the one that allows you to use Flowing Strike even when you're losing loss of control. So it's a really great way of keeping a Tempest alive and extending the cooldown. I think is necessary, and I think was a good nerf to the Tempest. They have a high amount of damage, which is their sort of design, being like the assassin class. And they're not taking away from that. They're just adjusting their survivability slightly, which again, I don't think this is a heavy nerf. I think this was a necessary nerf. If you're going to nerf a class, especially your newest class, I like that you're not making them weaker. You're just making it so they have to play smarter. Because ideally, you don't. It depends on your build. So some people use Flowing Strike as like an escape mechanism, whereas some people use Flowing Strike as an aggressive skill. So I think for the first half of that, the escape skill, it will now be nerfed, whereas the offensive part, you're going to be using it offensive anyway. So it's just in a little bit longer of a cooldown. So it's not the end of the world. But if you're using it defensively, that's where you're going to notice the difference there. If you don't save a Flowing Strike, you will probably die. So there's that. Now, Tempest magic affixes. This is another one that I felt definitely had to be nerfed because it was just way too big of a shield. The shield was just way too strong. So this one is the Flowing Strike magic attribute. The shield granted by using Flowing Strike has its absorbed amount reduced by 15%. I think this is a decent amount. I don't think it's an underwhelming amount. I think this was, again, probably the appropriate amount for a start. And of course, they will nerf it more if they need to. But again, I think this was okay. I think this was, it's still viable. It's still giving you a shield. The shield was just too strong. Like in all resonance levels and all BGs, it was just a little too strong. Now, let's also talk about the Wizard item. So this is the one that I actually have a video coming out probably tomorrow by the time you see this one, talking about the most toxic Wizard build. And I'm going to be honest, guys, like I tried it for like 3 games on stream, and it was a problem. Not only did I use it, I got hit by it. And it got to the point where with a certain level of potency, you just couldn't escape and you would just die, which is not probably the intent of it. So this is the Ingman's Repulsive Burden. It's the headpiece for Scorch when paired with the shoulders. Basically, it makes it so modify Scorch to be lightning orb that explodes, creating a field that pursues enemies. The knockback has an additional internal cooldown of a few seconds. This is fine, what essentially was happening is that you would get knockback stun, knockback stun, knockback stunned, and you would just basically not be able to move. So you're going to see in my video tomorrow, like I said, because the video was recorded prior to these nerfs. But it's still, I think this is still going to be a good build, but this just makes it so it's not completely busted broken. Because again, you could just throw your Scorch, and if it hit anyone, they're basically dead. Especially if you like do other skills on top of it, which is sort of the point. Like you should have to follow up one skill with other skills. Whereas that unfortunately was not the case in some cases where you could just throw Scorch and it would chase people and kill them. So like a free kill essentially. But so the internal cooldown is fine. It's not nerfing it too much. I think it's still a viable option. It's probably just not. It's just not gonna be as busted as it once was. And that's it, guys. So the biggest changes are coming to the Wizard and the Tempest. So the Wizard got a general buff in both PvP and in PvE because it's all aspects of Diablo Immortal. The Tempest did receive a nerf to, I mean, this is definitely PvP because it's in Battlegrounds. This one is everywhere, but it's mainly going to be noticed in PvP because that was the go-to magic affix that everyone wanted on the Tempest. Again, I agree with both. I guess my next follow-up question would be, do I think this is enough? And I think it's a good starting point. I don't know if it'll be enough. I want to get my hands on it and see just how it plays. I think this is the appropriate first nerf to a new class. Like I said, you're not nerfing its damage. You're not nerfing its burst ability. You're nerfing its escape, which means high risk, high reward gameplay, which was sort of the whole point of the Tempest, is that you play like an assassin. You know, you go into the shadows, you blow people up, and then you try to escape. Well, now if you're not playing tactfully, you might not be able to escape. And then, again, this was just a busted shield. And the Wizard one, I think, again, after playing it literally just yesterday or 2 days ago by the time you see this video, it's needed an adjustment, and I think this was the appropriate one. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I'll make it short and quick, but the Tempest is, in fact, getting a nerf. I think that it is, I don't want to say overdue. I think they let it go for long enough, and this is, in my opinion, the appropriate first nerf without killing your brand new class. So let me know what you guys think about in the comment section below. Do you think this was enough of a nerf for the Tempest? Do you think it needs more? Are you like me where you want to get your hands on it? And like I said, in my opinion, I think this is an appropriate good first start. But let me know what you guys think about in the comment section below. If anyone has any awesome points they want to point out, I'll pin the comment at the top so everyone else can see it.